Hey you guys, so I love me some Sanrio. I've been going to the Sanrio store since I was 10 years old, and I had a couple of requests to do some Sanrio charms, mostly Hello Kitty charms, but today I'm going to show you guys how to do some little twin stars and a Hello Kitty charm. So let's start. So let's start with Kiki and grab a yellow polymer clay ball and flatten it down. We're gonna create it into a star. So I figured out this was the best way for me to make a star, but if you have a star mold, go ahead and use that instead. But I'm just gonna pierce it on the ends and just kind of work my way around the angles of a star and try my best to create it as symmetrical as I possibly can. Some sides didn't come out even, but what I kind of did afterwards that I didn't show you guys is I kind of cut a little chunk at the tips and then just kind of molded it back to make them all the same size. And now let's make Kiki's face by getting a beige polymer clay ball and flattening it down in an oval shape. And to make his head I made this little moon shape, and I'm just gonna flatten it down onto the top of his head and flatten it down, make sure it's nice and flush and it's rounded. Once you're happy with it, grab some tiny balls and place them right between the hairline and his face and do it in a little arch, and kind of just press it down, but don't worry about blending it yet until right now that you're just gonna pull your fingers to the side and just kind of try to blend the beads. You don't have to blend them all 100%, but just try to get it. And then grab his ears and place them on either side. Flatten it down. And grab a little bead and roll it on one end to create a little teardrop shape. Place it on one side of his head. And flatten it down with either your finger or your polymer clay tool, whatever you have. And for the eyes, I will make an indent on either side of his face with the back of a small brush. And then I rolled these little black beads and I'm just gonna fit them in there. You can also paint the face after you bake the polymer clay, but I decided to do it this way. And to secure my star and Kiki together, I will go ahead and put some of this TLS and then place my charm on top of it. I could have put the eye pin before, but I decided to do it after, so go ahead and put the eye pin wherever you find best and bake your polymer clay charm. Now let's go ahead and do Lala. For her, grab the pink polymer clay bead and roll it onto an oval shape and flatten it. She has a lot of hair, so let's try our best to add a little bit of detail by making these little indents, and I'm using a little cuticle stick, and the rest of the stuff kinda is the same thing as Kiki, except that she's gonna have a bow. So for her bow, grab a lavender polymer clay bead. I forgot the name. I ended it in the middle and then I just kind of pushed back either side, and I'm just gonna press it on one side of her head and then do the other side. And then using the cuticle stick, I pressed it in the same, but using the same method I used for Kiki's big star, I made this little star. So it's basically the same thing, except that I used the polymer clay tool to kind of shape it a little bit better because my fingers couldn't get in between the star. And grab your teardrops for the side of her hair and indent the eyes and repeat it like we did with Kiki. So finish Lala with a little eye pin, and now she's ready to be baked. Now it's time to do some Hello Kitty, and grab a white polymer clay bead. Oh, and I did not mention, but don't worry about any lint or fingerprints. We're gonna get rid of them after we bake the polymer clay. I just find that I like doing that best, so I don't care for lint beforehand. But if you really do care about lint, you can wipe some rubbing alcohol and a cotton pad on the surface to remove any of the lint before you bake it. Just let the rubbing alcohol evaporate before you put it in the oven. So I finished off her bow, and I kept talking the whole time so I didn't describe what I was doing, but I hope you guys were watching the video. And now I made this little oval shape, and her eyes are smaller, but for this video I'm gonna do her eyes bigger because why not? And then finish her with an eye pin and go ahead and bake her. So let all your charms bake and completely cool down. Then once they're cooled down, grab some nail polish remover and a cotton pad. Make sure your nail polish remover has acetone, and wipe the surface of your polymer clay charm. This will remove any lint or fingerprints, and do it all over. And once it's dried, grab some acrylic paint and make a little face, make some little indents. And I could have added blush to Kiki and Lala, but I decided not to add blush. I'm sorry, I'm gonna burp. Never mind. It went away. I didn't add blush to Kiki and Lala, but if you want to, you could add it to make it more cuter, or make them more cuter. And then for Hello Kitty, I decided to add eyelashes because why not? And to make her a little bit more anime style, I added these little reflections, and you can basically paint her however you would want, and let the acrylic paint completely dry, because if you don't, it's gonna smear with the gloss glaze. So for the gloss glaze, I'm gonna use this and the small brush, and brush a thin coat all over my charm. Let it dry, and then we're done. So this is how Kiki turned out, and this is how Lala turned out, and this is how Hello Kitty turned out. So if you guys try this out, I wish you the best. I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. You can really customize them how you want. And yeah, thank you bunches for watching, and I hope you have a good one. Bye.